everyone for today's webinar for HVAC or MEP industry, ERP solution. And I would like to introduce ourselves first. We are Cetas, and we are a premium, Microsoft partner. We have our offices in Chennai, Bangalore, and Dubai. And quick briefing about myself. My name is Vidya Ram. I'm part of product development team, and I head the product development for the vertical for HVAC or MEP industry. And being a Microsoft partner, what we have done is we have developed a vertical on top of core Microsoft ERP called as Navision or NAV, and around which we have focused specifically for construction and contracting industries. So when I say contractor, it could be anything to do with contracting, starting from civil, interior or fit out, or even HVAC or MEP. So any contractors per se. So we have built a product called NAVBUILD, and so that is a solution which we offer for HVAC or MEP industry. Right. So to start off with today's webinar, I would like to quickly brief off about the agenda for today's webinar. The webinar is all about the digitalization and the need in the current situation of why do we need a connected application, and what are the best cases or the use cases for the HVAC industry, and why organizations should choose a NAVBUILD or Microsoft ERP, which is very specific to HVAC or MEP industry. And post which you will also be able to see quick glimpse of the product, wherein I will give you a quick walkthrough of the product itself. And last but not least, you can put across your questions. We will try to pick one or two questions during the webinar itself, and we will try to answer it. And in case if you are unable to revert back to your questions, please still feel free to leave a message. Either myself or my team will definitely respond to your queries, even after the webinar is over. All right. And before we get into the actual webinar, you can start, putting your questions anytime you want. Our team will respond to your query as and when you, put your queries across. All right. So why are we talking about digitalization, or why do we need systems or processes to be in place, for a HVAC or an MEP industry? Because we all know the current situation that the entire world is going through, and only through digitalization we are able to keep our business running. And that is a main objective that is a need of the current situation. And in addition to that, there are advantages like collaboration, wherein various departments and various functions can be made to collaborate among themselves, which helps to have an effective communication within the organization. And various processes like, let's say, an approval mechanism or exchange of documents or exchange of knowledge or data about a given project can be seamlessly possible when it comes to digitalization. And being a Microsoft product, this particular ERP application that we are talking about, coexist with Office applications like Microsoft Word and Excel, Teams and SharePoint. So it can talk to various other applications of Microsoft family, which will enhance the collaboration to be very effective when it comes to automating certain processes. All right. So what are the various use cases of HVAC industry? So probably I would like to quickly point on a couple of use cases. So we have got this estimation process wherein the customer would give us the detailed BOQ, for which we will have to arrive at the costing, and based on the costing, we will have to add our indirect cost and then arrive at the selling price. So, this is what we pretty much do with estimation. So we can, as in a solution, we have a provision to automate this process. And most importantly, you can rely on the history of all these costings across various branches or locations, so that you will know how the costing actually works. And there are something like cost synopsis in the application, wherein it will tell you which groups or which categories of product are contributing more towards my cost, whether it is ADP, or whether it is GI sheets or ducting, or any products or any set of products which contributes more to the project cost is what we have. And more specifically, on once the contract is awarded, we also have effective project planning and project scheduling provisions in the system, wherein you have a two-way data integration between Microsoft Project and Primavera, and which will help you to seamlessly integrate the project schedule with the ERP solution which we offer. And definitely the procurement process will be streamlined, because all the purchase process will always start from the indenting or purchase request process, against which you will be able to get multiple quotations, or you can receive quotations, and you can do quotation comparisons for all your materials, and then you can decide to release a purchase order or as per the project need, right? And we also have provisions for tracking the site activities, wherein, let's say, the person who is there at the site, if he has to, or if he would like to do GRN or goods receipt note in the project site, yes, he can very well do so. And tracking of material movements, whatever has been delivered, whether those materials are installed, and whether the installed equipments are being commissioned or not. So all those activities are being taken care. And very specifically on document management, we also understand, being a part of HVAC industry, there will be a lot of documentations which will be collected at the time of tendering stage, or at the time of planning phases, like the design document or the design drawings from the client or the consultants. All these things could be managed through SharePoint. So we have provisions for that as well. And performance of the project is predominantly on how does my project actually work, whether am I able to, whether it is in a profit, or what is actual billing that we have done, what is the cost to a given project. So all these data becomes available on real time, because as an application, what we are talking about is a complete integrated platform. So when I say integration, you have got various modules and various departments which seamlessly work together in order to deliver the complete project to your client. And last but not least, you also have to maintain your accounts and finance. And post completion of installation and commissioning, we also understand there is a set of activities onto the DLP part, or a defect liability period, which you are entitled to provide as part of your contract. So that is also being taken care, which is nothing but, after commissioning, there is a service component to it, wherein you are entitled to give an AMC for a period of 12 months or 18 months, post which you can also extend your contract as well. So on an AMC contract. So system has got provision for various modules, and it gives you a tight integration across all the departments and the users that we are talking about. And why NAVBUILD is, these are the reasons why you should choose NAVBUILD for, or Dynamics NAV for, wherein you can connect all the people, and it gives you a single solution for all the departments' requirement. And most importantly, the vertical that we are talking about is being certified by Microsoft, which is according, as per the coding standard, we are on par with Microsoft expectations, and the same has been certified by Microsoft as well. And talking more about customers who are actually using this particular solution, you will be able to find customers across various micro verticals within contracting firms like real estate or construction contractors, interior design or fit out contractors, HVAC or an MEP contractor, definitely EPC and pre-engineered building contractors. These are the different set of micro players who are using this particular solution. And you could also see a couple of names on to HVAC specific clients who are using the solution at the moment that we're talking about. So this is the customer that we are talking about. So ABS Aircon is an customer who is using the same solution, and they have got close to five, or not five, I think 6 or 7 branches across India, and all the branches are being using the same application. And most importantly, the application is connected everywhere, which means the accounts and finance is centrally controlled by their head office in Bangalore. And even though they open up various offices of pan India, as they scale up, the solution is also pretty much scalable. Because if I am right, when we did the implementation, I think we started off with 4 or 5 branches, and as and when we talk about, they have scaled up to 7 locations or 7 branches as of now. So the point that we are trying to make here is the customer, as and when the customer's business grow, the application also allows them to seamlessly scale as per their business demand is what we are talking about. So you could see, why NAVBUILD can work for you, because what we are going to offer you is already developed. The solution is already there, and we have also put our best practices and our industry knowledge behind what is needed for a contracting industry. And we also have the BOQ, or a bill of quantity based estimation, which helps you to have a baseline for executing the project, to analyze how are we executing the project. And there are other benefits like bidirectional data flow between Microsoft Project and Primavera. And as I was talking about the budgeting, you can also track your actual spendings on how your project spending happens. And in addition to that, you also have provisions for managing your subcontractor and your customer running bills, definitely, which is available out of the box in the system. And when we say workflow, it is all about approval mechanisms and notification over email. So those approvals are seamlessly available. So as an value addition, if you want, we can also extend this particular application for vendors, customers, and if you would like to have a timesheet mechanism, yes, we can very well improve the productivity through these applications as well. So those extensions are also available to integrate with the product that we are going to talk about today. Okay, so what I will do now is I will quickly take you to the actual application itself. So before we get into the application, I just wanted to give you a heads up that the application, what you're going to see, can be accessed through a mobile device, whether it is an iPhone or based on iOS platform, or an Android platform, or a Windows platform, or even you can use a browser to access the application, or it could even be accessed through a desktop or a laptop, definitely. And you can access the application as long as you have a very decent internet connection is what we demand. Okay, so let me quickly take you to the product. Okay, so this is the application that we are talking about. So here you could see, this is the application. So here you can see various profiles, like let's say, for example, here you're looking at from a sales team point of view. I think you can see what are the data, the data that you're looking at is for the sales team. This is to capture your leads or inquiries which have come through various sources. And similar way, you can also have a separate login for estimation, which is nothing but who does the costing or cost vetting, people who work on the along with the sales team in order to provide the costing and definitely adding up margins. So pretty much on costing is what these guys would do. Planning is more on carrying out project budgeting, managing the project quantity variations, and definitely on any NTs which comes through through a project during the course of execution is being controlled by the planning team, and definitely the projects. So these are the people who does the actual site work, wherein they raise a purchase request, they raise the purchase indents for certain set of materials, and definitely managing the subcontractors and the subcontractor running bills is being taken care by the projects team. And last but not least, they also be held responsible for managing customer running bills and customer invoices. And other teams like stores and purchase are being handled for managing the inventory and movement of inventory. And you will also have the service department. Service department is for capturing the breakdown calls or the planned maintenance against a given annual maintenance contract or the DLP contract, which is deferred liability period contracts. And you can also manage your invoices to your AMC customers who are part of the billing. And this is the provision for accounts and finance, managing various ledgers of accounts, managing their receivables and payables, and definitely to be compliant with the statutory rate when it comes to GST and your TDS. So those things are being taken care by accounts. So the point that we are trying to make here is it is more on you could see various logins. So you could see people from various departments, they log into the system, and what we offer is based on their roles, permissions are being restricted. So a sales team will be confined to see only sales related data. They may not see other departments data. So that is the point that we are trying to make here. So what would happen is this would help you to have a control over the application. Even though it isn't integrated, you still have those controls on who has to see what. So that is the advantages that you have when you go for an integrated solution with control. Okay. So now let's get into the details of what sales team. We start with the complete sales process, and we eventually finish with service or accounts and finance. So initially, when an inquiry is being tracked, those are being logged by the salesperson as various inquiries, like which we are looking at right now. So here you could see various details like these are the tenders which we participate, and you can also see various tenders which this will be pretty much entered by the salesperson. And you can also see the opportunities, how many that are in progress, how many have been won, and how many are lost. Okay. So whenever a salesperson is working on a given estimate, so the salesperson will share the BOQ details through the system. And what happens is, as in the estimation team, they will be able to get these notifications. So here you could see various BOQs which are part of the estimation are being imported to the system. So here you could see this is how a sample BOQ would look like. So this is the BOQ which the customer has shared. So if you happen to notice, the BOQ that we receive in Excel or in a PDF are converted to the system formats, and you can see all those details are uploaded to the system. So it doesn't matter how big the technical descriptions are, you can still go ahead and import those details in the system. So here you could see an air quantity, an equipment is needed of two quantity is needed. And you can also see the chilled water systems which must be delivered as per the BOQ. So these are my specifications provided by the customer for a given project. And kindly be noted that these are there in the initial stage, which means we are trying to participate in a tender or a contract in order to win this particular project. So you could see all the details here. And similar way, I can show you various projects like, similar BOQs. Probably you can see that. So this is a BOQ for the next project. So all the BOQs, whatever we see here, are getting imported. On top left, you could see a button which will say BOQ import, wherein I have to say, all right, I'm going to import a BOQ for this particular project. And the moment I say, okay, probably I have to locate the file. So this is what we have. So what we can do is we can import the file. And the moment we import the file, we will have the BOQ uploaded to the system, like how you're seeing this right now. So this is how the BOQ will look like. All right. So now let's focus more on costing. So, all right. So here you could see the project cost that we are talking about. Maybe I'll take an example of a project wherein we have an estimated cost of so and so value. All right. So how did we arrive at the costing here? So here you could see the details on, okay, this is the customer detail, this is the BOQ, and this is my supply rate, and this is my installation rate, this is my total supply and total installation. So this is what we have here. So how did we enter this number, or how did we arrive at this value of, let's say, 8,50,000 for supplying this particular equipment? Or let's take a chilled water system. I need the BOQ says 23 quantity of 125 mm dia, and my supply rate is 2187. So how did the system arrive at this value? This is because we have this concept called as a rate card mechanism. So here, for this 125 mm dia chilled water system, there is a rate card which is 004. This has been attached. So what it does is, probably I can show you the rate card. Maybe I can show you the details here. So the rate card is nothing but your bill of material for the particular item. So here you could see the details of 125 mm MS pipes with installation is what we have defined, and it is for one running meter. The cost is this value. Okay. So here what has happened is, here we have the breakup. All right, for coming up with an MS pipe with installation of 125 mm. So these are my materials needed. So you could see the details saying that these are my items, and these are my labor part. Okay. And you also have provisions for defining the Jindal make or any make master that we have. Yes, you can define any number of makes that you want. You can very well do that. And accordingly, you can also define the selling price. So my list price is 850. In case if you get better discounts from your dealers for certain equipments or certain accessories, you can very well provide those details. And if you want to add certain other costs like freight or import duty or wastage or packing or transportation, yes, you can very well do so. So here what happens is, so in system, we would have defined the rate card for all permutation combinations in a given BOQ. So here you can see the BOQ is comprising of different of MS class pipes. So 125, I have a bill of material of 2,500 rupees. 100 I have 1,547. 80 I have 1,719. So something like this. So it's not just for pipes. Even if you see, all the equipments or all the line items in my BOQ are being defined here. Because this is defined in such a way, a system is able to compute the costing for every line item. So here you could see for the chilled water system, and you can also see the butterfly valve, supply and commissioning, and this is for Y-type strainer as per the BOQ. And these are all valves pretty much, and you will also see equipments on AHUs, which you will find here as well. So this is how the supply and installation component are being added. Now let's talk more on how did we arrive at the selling price. So here you could see the details on how did we arrive at the price. So here we could see that there is an equipment margin, there is a low side margin, there is a labor margin, and other margins for selling up or for arriving at the selling price. So here you could see the selling price is being arrived. So the same details, but this time what you're looking at is both cost, the selling, the rate and the amount for both cost and price. So these are the selling price to our customers as well. So this is what you have in the system, and you can also see how good your margins are being performed. So here I can see, even though I'm bidding for this project, my margin is actually there in the negative. So I'm still quoting for this project. So this is something you can see in the system on real time. And as I was talking about the cost synopsis earlier, so this is what we have. During the estimation, I can see which component of my materials are contributing towards my cost. So here I can see the ADP or air distribution products, they are contributing close to 34% on overall cost. All right. I would like to see on what contributes to this 34%. So when I expand, it is giving me further breakups like this. So which means these many ADP items are contributing towards more on this project, and especially the ADP rectangular duct, which is costing me contributing 18% of the cost. So this is the breakup which we have in the system. And similar way, if I wanted to see the equipments, I can see the equipments like air purifier duct, and I can also see the CHF floor mounted equipments, which contributes close to 13% of my cost. So what happens here is this will help me to understand where my cost is more. So this is what we have for the costing per se. This we call it as a cost synopsis. And similar way, I can also see for all the equipments which are required for a project, these are my makes which I have considered. So in this screen, you are seeing all the items, doesn't matter equipments, any material, whether it is a high value, low value, you could see in the system itself. And kindly be noted, this is all at the estimation stage itself. So, and at the time of estimation, as you all know, there will be definition for your payment terms. Yes, you have provision for managing the payment terms as well. So you could see 80% against the running bills and on supply, and 20% on commissioning and handing over. This is what we have. And last but not least, you can also have approval mechanism for managing your controls to be defined for having the controls incorporated. So now what happens is whenever there is a BOQ gets amended, which means there is a quantity increase or decrease, or there is a change in the specification, or the drawing has been changed, system has got provision for archiving. So here there is a button which got grayed out. This is for managing your versions, so which will help you to have multiple versions of the same BOQ. So this will help you to have a change control at the time of initial tendering. And as I was referring to you earlier, I have the repository of my old costing. And in case if I wanted to reuse the same costing, probably I can simply say copy rate card. So here what happens is, this is the rate card. I have clicked copy rate card provision. So what happens is the bill of material for 100 MS pipe with insulation will get copied so that I can reuse it for future project. So these provisions will come handy in order to help you to respond to the estimates pretty quickly. And as I was also referring to exchange of documents at the time of initial tendering, you have this provision on top which says links. This will help you to exchange the documents through a shared folder. So here I can attach any number of documents. So when I say document, it could be even AutoCAD drawings. So those set of documents can be shared through link where the document may not be saved, rather the path to the file is saved in the ERP system. Right. So from sales, we have come across to the tendering. So what happens now is creation of projects, which is nothing but, let's say the contract has been awarded. So the moment we say create job, which you could find on the top left, what happens is it goes to the planning team. So what planning team can do is they can verify whatever my costing team has done, and they can do the comparison. So here you could see, for example, I'm looking at the project costing. When I look at the project costing, I can see this is what my estimated cost is, which means this is what my sales team has given, but I have budgeted for, let's say, 65,000. So which means these are the two columns that I'm talking about. So let's say I'm not comfortable with this. Probably I just wanted to take it to export to Excel, because that's where my comfortable area is. So I'm just going to copy this. I'll go to Excel. I'll try to do the comparison. So right now the contract has been awarded, and the project has been handed over to the planning team. And what I would like to do now is compare the sales supply rate to the estimated or budgeted supply rate. So these are the two comparisons which I wanted to do. So what I did now is to come back to my comfort zone, which is Excel here. So here I can compare for this particular chill water systems. I could see the planning team has done a value addition of, let's say, 200 rupees or 250 rupees, for example. So which means I could see the value additions carry forward by every department. So my sales team has done, my planning team has done something. So that is the reason my cost has come down to 1,864. So this is something a planning team can do. So now what happens is, we were comparing the the planning costing. So this can be tracked. So what the planning team will definitely do is they will have to rework on the rate card as per the drawings. So that is something we can track. And definitely onto the project variation. So here, as and when they execute the project, probably I would like to show you this particular area wherein, see, there is a variation here. So here what has happened is, when at the time of a contract being awarded, the estimated quantity was 10. But during the course of execution of the project, the customer, there is a variation. They said, I may not need this particular line item at all. So what has happened is, from 10, it has gone to 0. So the variation quantity is negative. All right. So similar way, if we scroll down further, probably we will get to know on in case of any plus or minus variations will definitely get added here. Let's take an example of this particular chilled water systems, which is a second scenario wherein there is a positive variation. So here, at the time of a contract which is being awarded, the quantity required is 60. But when the project is got into the execution mode, the quantity says 66. So which means the variation quantity is positive, plus 6. So there is a positive variation which is being defined. So if you happen to notice, in the same BOQ, we will have two scenarios coming in. One is a negative variation, and another one is a positive variation with respect to the BOQ quantity. So that is being defined in the system as well. It can track these details. So here what happens is, anytime we do the variation, as many number of times the project gets archived. So that is what we can see here on archived version as 5. So here we will get to know how many times it has archived. So here we will get the details of the archive. So here there is a quantity amendment as per the actual requirement, updating the BAV's BOQ, rebudgeting as per the actual requirement, BAV and valves are added, specification change to release the material request. You could see the reason for change. So this is exactly what we are talking about, how to control the project when it is being executed. And similar provision you also have for, let's say, there is something called as an approved makes. What we saw at the time of estimation is, let's say, for example, let's talk about an ADP duct. My tendering team has considered the ZECO, whereas my planning team has changed the make which has been considered. So this is something, maybe we'll take another equipment. Here you could see edge duct technology is the estimated make, and Stulls is what we have for the other make. So these are the provisions which you have for various variations which happens. And definitely you also have provisions for Intern NP as well, which is non-tendered activity. The process remains same, but only difference is the NTs are being handled by the planning team, not the costing team. So here you could see any NTs which are being added. So there are just two quantities here, and you can add those non-tendered. On approval, it gets added to the existing BOQ. So that is what we have for the ANT. So then what happens with the projects team? So projects team are the one who does the actual groundwork. So you could see all the purchase requests or purchase indents which are being raised. So they can raise the purchase requests. They can see the technical description. This is how they raise a purchase request. You could see all the items which are required for the given project. And once the purchase requests are raised, and before that, I just also want to talk about the labor part. So wherein the request for labor is also raised by the projects team. So you could see the labor, the installation of elliptical ducts for this particular BOQ number, installation of VCD and commissioning of equipments, diffusers, grills, gauges, anything that we talk about. So the labor part is also being defined. So what happened for the materials which are being released through request is on the purchase orders will be released. So maybe I can take you to the purchase screen. Here I would like to give you a quick example of how the planning is being carried out. So here you could see, across a purchase request across all the projects, you could see various, inventory definitions, and you can also see the branch-wise inventory as well. So here you can see for this particular item, whether any of my branches has got an inventory. So those definitions can also be made. Okay, so this will allow the purchase team to decide whether we are going to go with purchase order directly, or we're going to do a transfer order, or so on and so forth. So once this definition is made, then comes in the purchase order, wherein the purchase draft will get prepared. On approval, the purchase orders can be shared with the customer. Maybe I can show you a sample purchase order of how it looks like. Just give me a minute. So how does a purchase order look is what we have. So before that purchase order printout, you will be able to see various items, the technical specification, the rates, whatever they wanted to include, they can definitely do so. And you also can define the printouts as per your formats. So that is definitely possible. And once the purchase orders are released, then it is also possible for carrying out the GRN from the site as well. So here, this is how the site person will do the GRN. So they will open the purchase order, and now I have logged in as a planning team. And if you happen to notice, I may not be able to see the cost part of it, which means I cannot see the value of it. I can see only the equipments, quantity, and the supplier details. There may not be anything related to payment terms. This is what we have right now. So yeah, this is how a sample purchase order looks like. I'm just giving you a sample, and definitely we can fine tune as per your company format. And here you can also see the technical specifications are being defined. And definitely you can share this purchase order with the supplier, over email. You can very well do that. And you can also see the GRN. Once the GRN is made, then obviously, it gets reflected to the purchase team. What they can actually do is they can just click off a button. They can see the list of GRNs made. I can see the goods received note. These are the list of GRNs which are made in the system. And the format is pretty much the same. And most important thing which I want to talk about the GRN is, in case if there are any equipments for which serial number must be tracked, yes, you can very well do so. So here you can see the details. Okay, this is what it is. This is the supplier, and these are the items. And this is the PO quantity and how much has been accepted and rejected. So, and in case of any test certificates, you can also capture those details as well. Okay, and once the purchase order is done, the bill booking becomes part of the accounts and finance, which I will touch upon a bit later. And now I would like to talk more on managing the subcontractors running bill, or the once the work orders are being released. The process of work order is pretty much the same. Only difference is, instead of a material, we will see only the labor activity, like how we are looking at right now. So here the rates are being already defined, and the work order will be issued to the subcontractor. Pretty much the same. The formats, if you look at it, more or less the same, but the specification will be more on to the labor activities, wherein you can see this is what you are supposed to do, rectangular ducts, and this is what you will have. All right. Once the work order is being released, then what happens is we will get into the running bill mechanism. So with this running bill, what we also have is, let's say, for example, we have this measurement book mechanism, which will help you to track the actual measurements, or the task completion for every running bill by a given subcontractor. So what we have is we have a report which is nothing but an annexure report for a given subcontractor. So here what happens is system will generate this report directly to an Excel sheet, and you will get these Excel sheet with the formulas, so that if you change that, it will work accordingly. Which means it is not necessary to rework on the complete formulas here. So here, this is what I was talking about. So let's say this is the running bill one, and in case if there are multiple running bills, you can definitely take this detail. So if I put my cursor on a particular cell, it can see the summation on here. It will come, the report will get generated with the Excel formulas. So these are the differences which is possible through this Microsoft collaboration. So once the running bills are being certified, then my accounts and finance team will generate the bill based on the certification which has been done. Now, talking more on to the other aspect of the projects team, which is, the projects team, wherein they will be able to work on to the customer running bills as well. So let me take a sample of a customer running bill, wherein the measurements are being defined here. So here you can also see the running bill for 001, and I can also see the measurements which are being defined for all the equipments, all the BOQ line items. Okay. So for convenience to my customer, because my customer or my consultant would like to evaluate this first before approving it. So the similar provision of direct export to Excel with the formulas is what we have. So here, you'll have the details of all the measurements which has been defined. And if you happen to notice, these are my payment terms. As per my payment terms, we are generating the running bills here. And you could see the formulas which are being incorporated here. So this is the current bill value. So the current bill value, this is the value, and this is the total accumulated. So here you can see this is a formula which has been applied. So based on the value, system will apply the percentage of my payment term. So that is something which is defined here. And you can also go in for the last column as well. That is my cumulative column or cumulative bill example. So these are the flexibilities that you have when it comes to running bills. And once this is approved, yes, definitely it goes into a draft invoice. From the draft invoice, as you guys know, it has to be approved by the customer. Yes, definitely. Once the draft invoice is being approved, then only it goes to a customer. That is what we have onto a tax invoice. So yeah, pretty much this is what we have for the projects team as well. And moving further on to the service part of it, let's say this is how the projects are being executed. Let's say the project has been completed 100%. Then an hand-holding happens between the projects team and to the service team. And here you will be able to define various contracts or service contracts is what we have. So here you could see there are different types of contracts here. So here we have various contracts which are being signed, and you will also have the contracts for DLP, which is for the defect liability period, wherein we will not be raising invoices to the customer. So these are the differences, and we also have provisions for defining the service equipments which are part of this particular contract. So against this particular contract, this contract is for 1 year, a quarterly service, and yearly billing. So this is the definition we have. Probably let me take you on. Yeah. So here you can see the number of split units, number of cassette units, number of ductable units, and where those equipments are defined, and the tonnage details as well. So all the details are definitely captured in the system. And against these contracts, it is possible for the service team to manage your breakdown calls, so that you will know the number of breakdown calls our service team has taken. And we have also extended this particular breakdown and the preventive maintenance call through a mobile app. What happens is we will give access to the service engineers on where they are physically through a mobile application. They can just log in and they can get those details directly. So probably I'll take an example of one particular user, so that 10th of October 2019. Let's take an example of where these guys are. Probably I'll take 25-1. Okay, let me do it for Kiran. This will help you to navigate on where and all my engineer has traveled. This is specific to the service engineer part. So what happens is it opens up the Google Maps, and it can tell you where and all this engineer has traveled. So probably I'll just take this off. Yeah. So here you can see, these are the areas where he has traveled. So this gets plotted. So you can see the real-time locations where and all he has traveled, so that you know whether the engineer has gone to the site or not. Probably, if I take much detailed data, probably we can get into further analysis of it. And yeah, pretty much this is what we have for the service engineers as well. And last but not least, we also have some provisions for accounts and finance. As I said, accounts and finance are the core part of this ERP application. You will be able to define, the chart of accounts, and you can handle various cost centers or profit centers within the application itself. And you can have multiple banks and bank accounts, which is also possible. Bank accounts in foreign currency is also available in the system. And standard reports like, customer receivable, customer payables, waged accounts receivable, and waged accounts payables are part of the application that we are talking about. And fixed assets, predominantly more on managing your fixed assets from a books of accounts point of view, starting from accounts and finance point of view. Let's say acquisition cost, from acquisition cost to calculating the depreciation, and writing down the fixed assets, or even selling the fixed assets. That can be possible. And managing depreciation books, one as per income tax and also you should also have a depreciation for Companies Act. Yes, that is also possible in the system. And regarding the the statutory part, I should say, Navision as in an application or an ERP, it is there in the market from 2001 or 2002. So for the last 18 years, we all know the statutory implications, which has gone from those days of sales and service tax, from service tax to SBC, KKC, and then GST coming in picture. All those things are being taken care by the system. On a very high level, I think I have touched upon all the modules which are available in the application, and what we offer for the HVAC industry specifically. And I think I'm actually good with the product demonstration. And other than this, if you would like to get in touch with us, you can drop your queries to sales@cetastech.com. And for the participants, I should thanks once again for attending today's webinar session. And thank you so much.